Hello everyone, my name is Oscar Chacón. I'm the Executive Director with Alianza Americas, a US-based network of Latin American immigrant communities in the US, and we are dedicated to advancing a policy advocacy role on behalf of organized Latin American immigrant communities, not only in the US but also in our countries of origin and also in multilateral spaces often associated with the UN system. Today I'm speaking with you to address the recent situation in Nicaragua, a situation that has become of increased concern for immigrant leaders in the US, to the extent that there has been clearly a change over the past several months, from a situation where we hardly ever heard about Nicaragua to Nicaragua being back in the news in ways that we wish were different. I'm referring to the situation that characterizes the increasing number of protests on the part of Nicaraguan society and what seems to be a pattern of abuse of power on the part of authorities in Nicaragua, which have resulted already in the assassination of several hundred protesters that are essentially protesting policies by the Nicaraguan government. We are absolutely sad at these events and consider important to find a way of overcoming this situation so that peace can be restored, and hopefully a way in which Nicaraguans can actually feel once again fully safe and fully happy in Nicaragua, a country that until recently was actually an exception in a region where, again, violence, poverty, instability, lack of democracy seems to be the common features. We feel that the situation that had led Nicaragua to experience a rather peaceful way of life were basically the result of a situation in which most Nicaraguans felt, at least minimally, included from an economic opportunity point of view. When I say that, I'm not ignoring the macroeconomic indicators that often actually paint Nicaragua as a country only comparable to Honduras or Haiti. However, the fact that most Nicaraguans felt minimally included from an economic point of view, and when you combine that, also felt acknowledged in terms of the social, cultural development policies that for long have prevailed in Nicaragua, that led to a situation where people again felt, relatively speaking, safe, relatively speaking, secure in their own country, and led to also their essentially giving the benefit of the doubt of a government that over the past 10, 15 years or so has governed very closely associated with the private sector in Nicaragua and closely associated also with the leadership of the Catholic Church in particular, to maintain a situation where, even though many critics consider the Nicaraguan government as a case where too much power is concentrated in the executive branch to the point that some may call it a dictatorship, the bottom line is that particular social contract that existed seems to have broken, and it is important to find a way of solving that situation. Otherwise, Nicaragua runs the risk of becoming not so different from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador in as far as having a situation of increased forced migration that could also affect the regional instability in Central America, which is something nobody really desires. Finally, let me say that as a network of immigrant-led organizations in the US, we have been increasingly coming to Guatemala, to Honduras, to El Salvador with fact-finding delegations intended to assess the reality in these countries. We have not done so in the case of Nicaragua, but we are precisely, in light of recent events, considering the organizing of a similar investigative trip so that we can gain a much better understanding of the internal conditions in Nicaragua and be in a better position to recommend ways in which we can move forward to ensuring that a situation where the well-being of most Nicaraguans is actually kept at the heart of anything that could be done. I thank you very much for your attention, and we will continue being in touch.